Hello there, I'm Isaac Yinka Aina. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we'll be looking at three purpose lessons from history, and our case study for today is Joshua from the Bible. Number one, followership. One of the primary things we learn from the life of Joshua is the power of followership. Joshua also grew up with all the rest of the Israelites in Egypt. So he was exposed to slavery, he was exposed to oppression. He had the same experiences they had. But he saw a man that came, he saw a man who wrought signs and wonders, and he chose to break free from a pattern he grew up in to follow a particular person who seemed to have a relationship with the God of their ancestors, that is Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So while the rest were busy complaining, murmuring, and were creating a golden calf, Joshua was busy following and learning from Moses. And we saw that at the time Moses was going to transition, it was the perfect person who could take in the place of Moses. And we saw in his life that he actually did well because he learned well, he followed well. So one of the things you will learn is that for every person who has a call, there are people you have to follow, or there is a person you have to follow. So you have to learn the power of followership, or else you may not learn the wisdom needed for you to fulfill your call. Because we see the scriptures tells us that the spirit of wisdom was upon Joshua, for Moses had laid his hands upon him. Number two, intimacy. One of the things you will learn from the life of Joshua is intimacy. When we read the story of Moses, we may not pay attention to the following of Joshua, but some of the things you realize is that while Moses was on the mountain waiting on God for the 40 days, Joshua was also on the mountain the first time. Though the second time God told him no one was supposed to follow him. We see also another part time in the Bible where Moses was, goes into the tabernacle and spend time with God, and the Bible says the cloud descended upon it. Moses goes out, and we see Joshua staying back. Even when he was now the leader of Israel, we see him having a constant lifestyle whereby he inquired of God before he did things. So we saw intimacy in his life, and this is one of the reasons why he could have achieved as much as he achieved during his journey in fulfilling purpose. It brings us to number three, time. Joshua was about 80 years old or 85 years old when he entered the promised land. One of the things that we saw was that they could not fulfill that call, his call, because his strength waned. What do I mean? The Bible said Joshua had many wars to fight, but then he was too old to fight them because he didn't have strength to fight them. Now, when we look at the dealings of God with Joshua, from the first time in Joshua chapter 1, Joshua chapter 2, we see that and throughout the book of Joshua, one of the things we see is that Joshua had a call to fight. That was his primary calling. Even before Moses died, Joshua was the guy fighting the battles. Remember when Moses sat upon the rock and lifted his hands, and Aaron and Hur were holding up his hand? Joshua was the one at the war front. So the call of Joshua has to do with fighting, sending out all the nations who were in Canaan, in the promised land, and ensuring that the children of Israel occupied all those lands. So although they entered into the promised land, for more than 40 years after entering into the promised land, Joshua still couldn't ensure that all of Canaan, was emptied of all those foreign nations who were once occupying it. So they had time, but they couldn't maximize this time. And Joshua is one person who, unlike Paul, couldn't say he finished his course. So time is of essence in journeying into destiny. Thank you for staying tuned for this week's video. Watch out for next week's video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification button so that you can get updates of new videos as soon as they drop. Thank you.